Representative Saccone and Representative Topper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, panel. I think this panel really gets it, and I'm glad there's a lot of people here to hear the testimony today. I'm from just across the river, as you know, a little bit up the Mon Valley. But we've had Chairman can testify also that we've had 9 hearings last session on this across the state. So we've heard a lot of evidence from a lot of different people. And Pennsylvania is in the top 10 in our country, states, with this problem. And Western Pennsylvania is the top in the state. So we're right here in the heart of the problem, and you all that live here know that. The way I look at it, we have and I think I'd like to hear your comments on this. I think from what I've been able to judge from all these hearings we've sat through and listened to all the testimony, it's a 3-pronged problem, maybe a 3-pronged solution. We have the legislative solution, which we've done a lot. We've legislated the Narcan and the pharmacy things and so forth, and we'll continue to do that, I'm sure. And there's the treatment. We need to improve access to treatment. We can't just jail everybody. That's not a solution to the problem. We need to improve access to treatment. That's for sure. But there's a third component, and I think that our superintendent touched on it, and I think, Judge, you touched on it a little bit too, and that's the community component. We can't legislate or treat our way out of this problem. It's much bigger than that. I think it's time for us to admit that we're fighting a culture that promotes rebelliousness and vulgarity, disrespect, selfishness, and we've deteriorated in increments into what we have right now. And you can see, because I see people come up to me every day and they'll say, we're descending into chaos right now, folks. You see it on the television every night with what's going on. There's going to come a time we weren't going to be able to hire enough police to enforce the law when we've removed that mechanism that governs a person's heart. And that's what kept our society together before. We're not promoting that anymore. Our prisons are full, and we're building more. And now they're killing the police. So where are we going? We're headed down. So I think we have to push back, and that's the community involvement part, on this culture. And that's going to take the combined effort of parents, churches, community leaders, teachers, government. We're all going to have to pitch in together. I think we're leaving out, or we're not emphasizing enough of that component. I mean, you got to ask yourself, how far do we have to fall as a society before we realize and recognize that our problem is not how many laws we pass up here. We'll do our part. We'll do that. But it's not that. It's the direction of our culture. And we have to be willing to accept that we need to take back our youth and restore the traditional values that we all grew up with around here, because they've all deteriorated. When we get back on that track, I think we're going to be much further along to finding the solution to the problem, and I'd be anxious to hear your comments on that.
Well, I agree, Representative, that it is a community problem, and one of the things I try to preach to my drug court participants is that there's certainly not only a negative connotation about addiction, but about recovery. That a lot of the public doesn't feel that there is an ability to recover. And I said, I try to preach to them, you have to put on the face and show that it is possible, that we can recover, that we can lead positive lives. One of the things that I think would be very helpful is some incentive for employers to give a chance to a recovering addict with a record. That's been a problem. Are folks getting good jobs? I think we're seeing a little bit of that opening up because so many people have someone in their life. Almost all of us know somebody that had lost someone or nearly lost someone, and again, it's all walks of life. One of my good friends is a lawyer, his wife's a nurse, the extended family, grandparents were involved. They nearly lost their son. So you see that employers are starting to open up and say, I'll give you a chance. If you work hard, you can work for me. Another problem is housing. It's very difficult to find housing. And I'm not just talking about after they get out of treatment, they go to a halfway house, and then we have a shortage of 3/4 house beds, because if you go to ask for zoning in your community and say, I want to have a 3/4 house or halfway house for people recovering from addiction, the neighbors will jump up and say, not in my backyard. So we need to have better attitude about recovery. And even with Narcan, how many people, I've heard so many times, why do we want to revive them? How come this guy got revived 2 or 3 times? And my response to that is, not only do we all know, we're getting to know somebody that's has a family member that's been revived, or maybe directly, but how many people do we know have recovered from heart disease only to go back to eating French fries and fried food and gaining their weight back? That's how I look at it. Are we gonna, when we go to administer an AED, are we going to say, well, gee, this guy looks overweight, I don't think we should bother with him? And of course not. We're there to save a life. And the same, that's how we should look at Narcan or Noxolone. But it is, community has to be ready to assist in the recovery and in accepting people that have been in recovery.